is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are having an awesome weekend and having a great day. Just want to say thank you for the support on the channel, coming back and watching another video. So I figured I would just do a quick update on the anacondas. I think some of you guys like seeing them and the process of them growing up. So this is Pop-Tart, my two-year-old. She was very early 2019, so you can see how big or small she is for being almost 3. So I think she was a January or a February baby, so not too far from being 3 years old. And she's very manageable. Not a huge snake by any means yet. She should be around 14 or 15 feet when she gets older. And then I'll take out my other 2020 green anaconda here shortly. But I just want to show you guys how they're doing. So she is on medium rats, which is shocking for being a 2-year-old anaconda, because I don't even have 2-year-old boas that are on small rats, which is kind of crazy. And she's probably just as big as my 3-year-old or maybe 4-year-old, some of my 4-year-old regular boa constrictors. But her temperament is just amazing. She's such a pleasure to work with. Both of my anacondas are just awesome. Great temperaments. I've never had any issues with them. And I mean, I can take them out of their cage really whenever I want to. They're super curious, really friendly animals. They get a very bad rep in the reptile world or just in any pet scenario. Everybody thinks that they're going to be 20 plus feet, 500 pounds, and it just is not. It just doesn't happen. I think 16 feet is a very large anaconda. It takes a lot of time and a lot of food to get even the females around 15 feet. Like, you really have to be pumping them full of food constantly, and then you're going to overfeed them, and then you're going to have issues with their health. Kidney issues, heart issues, fat buildup, and stuff like that. But pretty much when you've seen one anaconda, you've seen them all. They have a very nice green on them, the black spots on top, and then the yellowish pattern on their belly, which looks really amazing. So she is in a almost 9 foot by 3 foot by 2 foot cage. And that should be good enough for her entire life, even as an adult. Nerd and Megan both work a lot with green anacondas. They breed a lot, and they will tell you that the females, it's tough to get females over 14 feet. And the males genuinely stay around 10 to 12-ish. So I know a lot of people are really big into the retics. They're really big into the burns, and a lot of people just overlook the green anacondas just because of their bad rep, I would say. They do need a water source. I don't think it needs to be that big. They do like to be in rivers or streams or just in any type of water, just soaking. I've noticed that she really just likes to go into the water just to go to the bathroom, which is pretty much every day. And I know you guys hear me talking about that all the time, which is kind of which would go into the maintenance side of it, which isn't that terrible. But if you want to be cleaning poop and pee out of water basically every single day, then, you know, you can get yourself an anaconda. Hopefully by next year she can put on just a little bit more size. So I would say she's pushing definitely 5 feet right now, and she's still pretty thin, but I'm not, you know, I interact with her constantly, and I really don't think I'm going to have too many major issues with her as she gets bigger. I just have to be careful about how I hold her, keep her around my neck, or keep her off my neck, and stuff like that. So I think a lot more people are getting a little bit more involved with the green anacondas and seeing and working with them and following people that own adults, and they're actually kind of understanding that they're not that bad of a snake to own if you like larger snakes. Some people would prefer the yellows. They do stay a little bit smaller. They can have a little bit of a temperament issue, but if you work with any snake enough and hold them enough, then they'll have a perfect temperament and you should not have any issues with them. The one thing that I will say is feeding them as babies, they are a pain in the butt. They love birds, and I think they like fish just as much. When they are born, they are notorious for not eating any type of rodent. So it took her about 6 to 7 months before she actually took her first rat, and it was baby quail or just baby chicks before that. So just keep that in mind. And sometimes the anacondas, they don't switch over really at all. They just kind of eat birds all the time. And then sometimes they'll just eat rats, and then they won't switch over to rabbits. So I think, you know, a smaller size rabbit as adult is probably going to be good enough. I have seen some people that own very large anacondas, 13, 14 footers, and they feed one rabbit a month or one rabbit every 2 months. So the feeding's not that crazy, because when we keep them in captivity, they don't really have the whole Amazon forest to be exploring, so they just kind of hang out and relax and get fat. Pretty much. But I mean, they might do that in the Amazon as well. I'm not really sure. I've never seen one, and there's not too many documentaries on them, and if you do see some documentaries on them, they're very, very false, and they're not man-eaters. There's never been a recorded case of an anaconda eating a human, ever. And so it's just kind of like, they're not out to get you, because they don't, I mean, they barely even eat a rat, so they're not going to do anything to harm you on purpose. Now, when they do get bigger, I know a lot of people, it probably is a chore. I'm not going to say it is a chore, because I personally have never held big snakes or dealt with big snakes, but it is, I'm sure it's a workout to control a 100-pound anaconda. And so a lot of people just leave them in their cages and they just feed them, and they never interact with them. And so every time they open the door, they only know that food's going to go in there. And so they could be a little agitated, and they could be a little bitey and stuff like that. But, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't interact with a snake or an anaconda or any other big animal, because you should know how big they get before you buy them and have an adequate setup for them. So I'm going to put her back, and I'm going to get out Mountain Dew. Alright, so this is Mountain Dew. This is my 2020 female, so both of them are females. And you can tell the size on her, she's definitely a lot bigger than most of my 1-year-old boa constrictors, and this girl has just an amazing temperament and attitude as well. So she might be a little bit on the smaller side, and Pop-Tart is not in her cage. She's actually roaming around on the floor. But she was very sick at the beginning of the year, gave her a bunch of medicine, and she seems to be doing a lot better. So it took her almost a full year to get off of birds and to finally eat rats. So that's definitely a good thing. Everybody in the room is on rodents, which is exciting. Makes everything so much easier on shopping for food and setting everything out. So this girl hopefully can bounce back on the size here very quickly. She's been kind of eating about 2 very small mice every 2 weeks, so kind of varying back and forth with the rats and then the mice, just so her body can absorb the food, because she was having issues a year ago regurgitating food, not being able to keep food down, and so I don't want to go back through that. So small meals right now, but she's doing very, very well. And she did kind of have an issue with me the very first time I saw her. So it was kind of cold out, so I was wearing a hoodie. She went on my hoodie sleeve, and I pulled her out, and she nipped at me, but that was the very first bite that I've ever had on any snake. So I guess it's not too bad on my first bike getting bitten by a baby anaconda. So again, they both pretty much look the same. She does have a little bit brighter bands behind her eyes if she'll sit still enough. It's funny because both of these girls are so tame and head tame that I can literally just put my hands on their heads and they eat, both of them, they don't even care. And I have some boa constrictors that will throw a fit and hiss at me and try to bite me if I do any stuff like that. So it just kind of shows you right there that the mean old anacondas are actually the nice ones, and the boas can be the ones with some of the attitudes. But they're fantastic to work with. I'm really excited for them to grow up. I really don't know what to expect because, like I said, I've never held or dealt with big snakes. I just know it's going to be fun to work with them. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a lot more cleaning than it already is, and just just going with everything on them and how it's going to go. But these girls are gorgeous, and I hope I can get a male off of Nerd when he drops them for sale, because that would just be really cool to have 2 females and a male and have a very awesome future breeding project and just keeping the pure grains bloodline going. And if you guys have any questions about any of these snakes or about anacondas, please let me know. I know some of you guys were asking me on a live chat last week about feeding, and again, it takes patience to get them on rodents, but when they do get on rodents, you're good to go. So if you want a gray anaconda, I would highly recommend it, but definitely do your research on them, and just be prepared for big snakes, because I don't think a lot of people understand actually what kind of work goes into them. Even the babies, they take a lot. Like I said, I change the water out daily on both snakes, but it's definitely a rewarding thing because we have the passion for the animals. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.